is a great asset in this world. As for what Britain can learn from India, I think Indian entrepreneurship, Indian business acumen, and the energy of South Asia is something that we look upon and admire.
Okay, we heard there from William Dalrymple earlier. Thank you very much, William. I want to now turn my attention to joining me live, Amish Tripathi, another best-selling author. Appreciate your joining us. Amish, you heard William Dalrymple actually say India has the best of both worlds. Given what, do you agree with that? That actually we are a rare example where we've combined the benefits of English language and also been strongly committed to our regional indigenous culture. So is this a false binary, a false debate, Modi versus Macaulay, more political than cultural?
Look, I mean, I'm not anti-English, obviously. I mean, we are speaking in English, and English is the language of modern science. But I am a Hindi Bhashi as well. I'm completely comfortable in Hindi, my mother tongue, as I'm sure you are in Marathi, and all of us are in our own languages. But where I agree with the Prime Minister is it's not so much the language. It is the way we approach our land, the way we approach knowledge systems. Let me give you a few examples. Our education system is such that we put allopathic medicines, the allopathic medicine system, right at the top, and do not spend enough effort to scientifically research our Ayurvedic traditions. And I can tell you, I've been living in the UK. Many Westerners are getting into Ayurveda and the traditional wellness systems because they know that outside of emergencies, these traditional medicine systems probably lead to better medical outcomes, right? The allopathic medicine system in the US, they spend 11% of their GDP on medicine. You could argue their medical outcomes are actually not that good as compared to Europe. Now, that's one aspect. Second aspect, look at, I'm talking about practical stuff, not just at a theoretical cultural level. You'll notice in schools, they tell us that there are 4 seasons. That's what I was taught. My son is 16 years old. He was taught the same thing. Summer, autumn, winter, spring. And I'd asked in school, ma'am, monsoon kahan gaya? Our ancestors were very clear that monsoon is the key season. India actually has 6 seasons. Europe has 4 seasons. And the key season for us was monsoon. That's why the Sanskrit word for year, Varsh, is based on Varsha. That's why the Sanskrit word for a nation, Varsham, it's Bharat Varsham, right, is again based on Varsha, rain. Our entire way of life was built around the monsoon. Our temple ponds, our lake systems, essentially South Asia, Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, get all our annual supply of water within 2-3 months. Our entire way of life has to be built around how we manage that flood and dry season. Europe, etc., they don't have this. Because of our, westernized elite system, we don't build our cities for the Indian climate. We want to ape London. There's nothing to learn from London. They don't have the monsoons, right? So we should have lakes in our cities, as our ancient cities did. We should have temple ponds. We should have a Shramdan system. Think about another practical thing of a colonial deracinated elite. All our, our upcoming new cities, we're building glass wall buildings. Okay, glass wall buildings were invented in Western Europe and Northeast America, where there's a shortage of the sun. It makes sense there. Heating cost goes down. In India, there's an excess of the sun, not a shortage of the sun. When we build a glass wall building, we're essentially building a giant microwave oven. Why are Indian architects building this? Because sabko gora banna hai. Everyone wants to ape the West. This is the result of our colonized education system. And I'm talking about just practical matters.
So you're saying Macaulay's education systems actually took us away from our traditional medicines, our long history of work in science, and almost made a generation look down in a way upon some of these ancient practices like Ayurveda. Is that what you're claiming? And therefore,
Absolutely.
That's the inheritance that we need to reclaim.
And we need to decolonize our education system so that we can do this, so that we have an elite which realizes they're not living in Europe, they're living in India. Again, I'm not anti the good things we can learn from the West. The West has been the most successful civilization of the last 3 centuries. There are many good things we can learn from them. And as our ancestors said, Ano Badraha Kritro Antu Vishwata, that let noble thoughts come to me from all directions. But we should not forget our roots. Where I agree with what William said so beautifully, that this change is happening democratically, peacefully, slowly. And I agree with William completely on that. I also agree with William that there is no need to turn completely anti-West. There are good things from the West. We should learn that. But let's learn our own stuff first.
No, but the truth of the matter is, it was, today when you see, for example, India, a market leader in IT services, you see Indian engineers going across the world. A lot of that is the benefits we got from English education, and contrast us with a Japan or a China. We have a competitive advantage over these countries because we've created this large pool of English language. And for many Indians, English is aspirational today. Go across the country, everyone wants their children to learn English. Are you saying that's the result? No, but is that, no, are you saying that's the result of the slavery? No, you're saying you're not anti-English. Then you are, what are you exactly anti?
I'm not anti-learning the good things from the Western way.
So what are you
I am
exactly
saying
anti?
let us not forget the good things from the Indian way as well. I just gave you 3 examples on
Yes, but have
medicine, on how our
yes.
architecture is decolonized, on how our cities do not take the monsoon system into account because we are also mentally colonized. There are many other things of this. Think of the way history is presented to us. We are still running the way the British Raj presented our history to us. Do you notice that the British colonial rule is not called the Christian invasion, but the Turkic colonial rule is called the Islamic invasion? Have you noticed that? This was a British formulation, a very mischievous formulation to convert what was an Indian foreigner fight into a Hindu-Muslim fight, right? And we've carried on with this post 1947. Now, even Hindi film movies have added to the confusion. Many Indians think that, and you can't blame the Hindi filmmakers, they went to the same schools that we went to, but many Indians think Alauddin Khilji looked like Ranveer Singh or Akbar looked like Hrithik Roshan, which is not true, boss. To us, they would have looked Chinese, but they weren't Chinese. They were actually from Central Asia. They did not speak Urdu, despite what Bollywood movies tell you. Okay, Urdu is our language. They would have spoken Turkic or Persian. They were foreigners. What was, and K.K. Mohammed Saab, who's a brilliant archaeologist, he had said that Babur was a foreigner. What was being presented as a Hindu-Muslim issue is actually an Indian foreigner issue. Do you know Chhatrapati Shivaji or Krishnadev Raya? When they fought these foreigners, they didn't use the term Muslim. They used the term Turushka, which is Sanskrit for Turks. They were clear. They were fighting foreigners. Now think of the cultural impact that the British formulation of our history textbooks has had till today, and we have still not decolonized it. Right?
But you make a fair point on decolonization in a way of our history textbooks. But at the same time, Amish, there will be those who will argue that this process of colonization also unshackled many Indians. It, in a way, led eventually to the breakdown of the caste system, the kind of ideas of enlightenment, modern values, notions of equality. Do you believe, therefore, as I said, you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater by making it Modi versus Macaulay? Narendra Modi has his a point of view, Macaulay or Macaulay Putra have their point of view, and the twain can meet. It's not as if they are mutually antagonistic.
Rajdeep, you're kind of reinforcing my point. I'm not anti the good things of the West. I'm repeating that once again. And I've not read Prime Minister Modi's speech. But if he said that we need to decolonize our education system and reconnect the educated elite Indians to Indian roots, yes, of course, that is a very good thing.
He said there's a slavery mindset. He seemed to suggest there's a slavery mindset involved here, that this has enslaved us. Is that a bit of an exaggeration? Is that politics being played out?
I would agree with that too. I would agree with that too. Do you know that our obsession with fair skin is again a recent construct? This fair and lovely, this thing that fairness means more beauty, that is not a part of our ancient way. Draupadi Ma, who was considered one of the most beautiful women ever, one of her names was Krishna. Krishna literally means dark-skinned, right? Lord Ram was dark-skinned, Sundara Vigra Megha Sham, right? And we weren't anti-white either. Lord Shiva was fair-skinned, right? Karpuragonam, Karnavataram, and so we weren't obsessed with skin color. Now we have forgotten this. This is an example of a colonized approach, right? The fact that when Prime Minister Modi said that India had the oldest democratic structures, he was right. And I found many people opposing him, saying that no, Greece had older democracy. Not true. The Vaishali and the Vachi confederacy were a lot older, and they did not have slavery. The Greeks had slavery, right? Megasthenes, the Greek ambassador who had come to India, recorded that India is the only land he came to which didn't have any slavery. We don't know all these things because we assume नहीं हमारे पास सबसे पहले कैसे हो सकता था, वो तो यार यूरोपियन के पास ही हुआ होगा. This, if you ask me, is a slavery mentality. But I'm repeating once again, that doesn't mean you swing to the other extreme where you refuse to learn anything good from the West. That is silly as well. Look, artificial intelligence, AI has been invented by the West. Modern computer tech has been invented by the West. Of course, we should learn from that. Why shouldn't we? Goddess Saraswati can bless anyone in the world. And we should open our minds and learn from whoever Goddess Saraswati has blessed.
Very well put there, Amish, and I appreciate you joining me and taking the time off amidst writing another book. So thank you very much for joining me here on this debate. Amish Tripathi, William Dalrymple, you've had two fine voices joining us here.
What is important